Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 363, and today we're going to be doing battle in a Ruthless Rumble. And so, for the daily followers, I'm going to be playing the same deck list that we played in the previous video. We took this lineup to a 5-winner. In the previous one, we're going to try that again, and we're going to be using Samira Pantheon, we're going to use Aatrox Vayne, and we're going to use Tristana Demacia. And so, if you're not wanting to watch this kind of thing again, the coverage for the Runeterra Open should be out there and happening today. Excuse me, and so hopefully you can go and take a part of that if you don't want to watch me struggle with this gauntlet. And so if you're on board, if you're ready to go, so yeah, again, we're going to be playing that same lineup. The idea with the lineup is all of the matchups are reasonable against Tristana. I expect to see a Tristana in the majority of the lineups that we encounter today, and so I want to make sure we're okay enough against it since we don't intend to ban it. Now, the thing we are looking to ban is what I consider to be the deck with the biggest collection of targeted removal. And so when I'm speaking of targeted removal, I'm talking about cards like Vengeance or Disintegrate or Scorched Earth or Concussive Palm or Tag Out, something that can just deal with any sized unit out of a single card. And so I'm not referring to removal heavy decks like something with Seraphine, to where they're playing a bunch of small burn spells like Mystic Shot and High Note. Those are fine. We're looking for the ones that have that big removal package that can, say, take down an Aatrox. And so we're going to look to ban out things like the Lord Broadmain decks, or we're going to look to ban out Karma Set as the two most common offenders. And so to get you ready, we'll pull up the deck list real quick. As I say in all of these videos, I'm not going to get too in-depth with the deck lists. You can scroll backwards through the channel and we play all these decks on their own and a little bit more in depth. And so, deck number one, we're playing Aatrox Vayne, a pretty standard version with the 2 copies of Aatrox. Nothing too crazy happening here. There's some people that will swap around, kind of one of the cards between some of the equipment, or maybe only play 2 Blinding Assault. But I've been pretty happy with this collection of cards that we have here, and we're definitely running with it. If you're looking for something a little bit different, we are playing Samira Pantheon. The additions that we tend to make to Samira Pantheon are we play the full 6 equipment. I think that with the setup of the deck we have here with the 9 2-drops, that I really like to have these turns to where we can load up a big Lunari Cultist, or we can load up a big Cosmic Youngling on either the second or the third turn of the game. Speaking of the Cosmic Youngling, that's the other one that you don't see too frequently in this style of deck, but I don't really like playing cards like Saga Seeker. I don't really like playing cards like the 2/1 unit that gets excuse me, that gets lifestealed when he's empowered. I think there's just like way too many cards like Group Shot running around in the Tristana decks to make those cards reliable. And so I've been pretty happy with the package of 9 2-drops between Samira, Cultist, and Youngling, and then helping to enhance them with the collection of 6 equipment. Last but not least, we're playing Teemo Tristana Demacia. The things to say here, we're playing the 3 copies of Buster Shot, so we aren't playing Fish Fights, and then we have the full 3 copies of Champion Strength. The thing that really draws us into this deck is having cards like Champion Strength in the mirror match, and then against decks that aren't able to remove our units very well. So if we can still build up these units of 4 and 5 dudes on the board, close out the game with a big Champion Strength, I think that this version is just outright better than the Bilgewater version with all of the fights. And so, that's the lineup. You know what we got to do before the battles begin, though. We are going to come out and pay the pay-to-win price. We're on the main account today, so we have to do it, and there were a couple of choices in the mix here. I had one down this way. It was Brutal Skirmish that I felt like we should premium up today. Nice little removal spell. It's so brutal if you go and say, premium a burst spell. You get to enjoy it when it's in your hand, but your opponent never really gets to enjoy it. So we do prefer to boost the units first, but all the units are already premium, and so let's at least give our opponent a nice little shiny circle in the middle of the board when we play our Brutal Skirmish. So makes sense to me. I hope it makes sense to you. Let's jump on in and battle. And so, yeah, we mentioned the Runeterra Open. I was a little bummed that we didn't get to play in it. I just didn't schedule things well with Mother's Day happening this weekend. I thought we were doing stuff next weekend with one family, and that got switched around. And so we're kind of doing 2 Mother's Days this year, and I didn't get the chance to play in it. But we should be playing in the Runeterra Open the following week. And so, as far as this lineup goes, we're going to look to either ban Nora, that's a Disintegrate-based deck, or we're going to look to ban Swain Alawi, which is another deck that packs Disintegrates. But we're going to find more of the cards like Disintegrate and Scorched Earth and Lord Broadmane coming out of the Nara Nor deck. You typically just see like one Broadmane and then 2 and 2 between Scorched Earth and Disintegrate out of the Swain. And so with that higher density of cards, I want to remove the Nora deck from the opponent. Get on out of here. All right, let's lead off with Tristana, see what we can do. Interested to see this Action Kaisa deck coming out. I've seen some rumblings of people bringing the Kaisas back to the forefront, and I haven't had a chance to play with it. We'll have to take care of that in an upcoming video. All right, reasonable enough start here. We started off with a pretty good curve. Very high-powered units along with the Elusive Power and the Wandering Shepherds in here. Happy to get to battle with it. You didn't see too much direct removal coming out of the opponent. I'm sure they play a bunch of stuff like Cataclysm, but I wouldn't expect them to have like a big mountain of removal. Probably going to be more challengers than it is removal spells coming out, right? If you're looking to hit Evolve, you really need to be dropping the things like Petricite Broadwing and dropping things like the Broadwing and then the Challenger Bird, the Quinn Bird, as your means of hitting Evolves. But again, reasonable enough start. I'm not super worried about falling down to 10 or 12 health, so we can pretty easily just soak up this damage for a bit. See if he gets to come in with a Challenger now. If he opens on us and we fall to 14, that's pretty fine. And what I'm kind of thinking of here is how ready are we to just drop a Tristana? Because there's a couple of things. The thing I wish I knew about this style of deck is if they were playing Quicksand, right? If we were playing open deck lists, we could see if they had Quicksands, if they had the answers to our elusives, if they had the ways to take Quick Attack away from Tristana. And so, it's not particularly clear. I think she's reasonably safe to play at this point, because I think our hand is just good enough even without her. But opponent should be kind of struggling to take her down. So he takes the full 3 bank here. I'm really curious if he's going to be coming at us with Quicksand. And now we just hit Buster Shot. That's a humongous draw here. It's going to let us play the Grumble Slug. It's going to let us follow up with a Hungry Owlcat, and then we can try and Buster Shot action away. That all sounds just way better to me than trying to get these Wandering Shepherds going. All right, so he plays a big unit. Now I'm going to bring in the Buster Shot. This should put him in a spot to where he either has to play a Combat Trick to protect his action, and then if he does come in and protect his action, I'm just not going to attack with Tristana. It's just way too obvious of a Quicksand if that's how this turn plays itself out. Alright, so yeah, we'll leave Tristana at home. I'm pretty okay with this if we attack with our non-Tristana units and then he Quicksands across the smaller ones. We get the kill on the Bakai, the Void Blaster wins a combat, but at the end of the day we're trading 2 for 2 and then we're getting a strong unit back at the end of the day. Interesting. He says no thank you to the elusives and moves on with the other ones. Kaisa is nowhere near Evolve. She is not scary. I mean, I guess she's going to have some pretty decent stats with the second skin coming down on her, but I'm not particularly worried about what she brings. The thing with me on this turn is I really just want to come out and spend all of our mana. And so I'm looking at playing a Wandering Shepherd, right? We're either going to play Wandering Shepherd, Bandle Commando, or we're going to play Combat Cook, Hungry Owlcat. And maybe we do look to play the Owlcat just to come out and block the Void Blaster with. And then the Combat Cook, that's tough with him. If we do manage to hit the Pot of Pain, then we can actually come in and block this stuff. Let's drop the Combat Cook and see what happens. Ooh, nice. Nice. It is kind of interesting. Next turn with a 6 mana spend, we can try and put equipment on both Tristana and Teemo and maybe hit Scout in the mix. So, a lot of power that way as well. And the bird. That's pretty good. Had me bamboozled on that one. And so the Kaisa is going to be ultra powerful this round. I think we have to just go ahead and drop the Owlcat to ensure that the stats get dropped. But having this Quick Attack Scout Challenger out of Kaisa is gonna murder our board. think we're still in okay shape. Gotta have some good hits on these Wandering Shepherds. Because if this Kaisa flips, we're just gonna be completely smoked. Alright, poor Tristana. Alright, another big attack coming in, sure thing. What are they? 2 away from Evolved. I'm kind of curious if there's another unit they can be adding to the board that they'll just hit Evolved with right away. You could play the Lurk unit, right? The 1-cost Fearsome Lurk to hit it, but outside of it, I don't think there's too many cards to worry about. Now a group shot. I think we just gotta lead with it. If this Void Blaster gets to grow, we're gonna be in a pretty bad spot. Like, I'm not entirely certain that we could win the game next turn anyways, or not die next turn. This Kaisa probably gonna be flipping, but nasty.
You best believe I don't.
Get 1 away, and then there's the Evolve. Okay.
We have something the void will never understand. Me.
We'll just go ahead and get out of this one. GG. That was too tough. I still haven't fully figured out the times I want to drop Tristana. It's like I know that we're getting really good attacks when we get to drop her at a point like that, but leaving her vulnerable. I mean, it shouldn't have even mattered that much that she was vulnerable, right? She managed to split out like 3 or 4 bonuses, and so I would like to think that that's just enough. Alright though, reasonable start with Teemo Grandfather Faye. No complaints here. The thing that's kind of a bummer now is we got to run the Samira deck into this thing. I'm not the hugest fan of trying to run these big Pantheon decks up against decks with Disintegrate in it, so leaves me a little worried. But one thing at a time, one step at a time, you know. Teemo coming in. Bloodcurse Tarpey's a fantastic unit in this matchup. Very tough to kill, does many damages. Glad to see him turn up. Now this, I don't super like. I'm curious if we shouldn't have just passed the turn here, because Tentacle Slam is really annoying. I don't like being in these spots to where you can Tentacle Slam one of our units and then still have it survive. Losing out to the heavy metal, that's not as big of a deal. Now the Mayor turns up. Sure, I think we can still add in the Mayor. We're gonna be pushing up the curve pretty quick here, and then I'm just gonna pick the expensive unit. This game's gonna drag on for a while, so I don't want to just be picking small dudes when we're gonna be doing quite a bit of battling here. All right, rip Teemo. In with the bird. See if he's got a play. All right, reasonable enough. Can't forget we got all those sweet puff caps in our deck. It's easy to forget that those things are out and about and running around, and so gotta keep that in our brain piece. But here, I'm gonna pick the stats on the Combat Cook. The Pan of Pain can be kind of interesting in this match, given that there's a lot of ways to just deal a point of damage. But I like just picking up impact here. It's the more aggressive option out of what we're coming out and presenting. All right, let's get this dum-dum out of here. So we can still spend 5 mana on units on this next turn. Hopefully that'll turn out well. Ooh, interesting, Teemo turns up. I think we still want to get the Grandfather Faye in. Trying to get rid of the Combat Cook if we have a way to pull that off now. Swain coming in. Alright, we're getting everybody down. Everybody's attacking this round. Say, present them with the damages. We gotta get them in while we can. Okay, he puts the block onto the combat cook. Just the most damage prevent he can do. Sounds fair. I would like to see the combat cook get popped by a scorched earth now, just so we can get the harpy going. But it's okay. I think we're in pretty decent shape here. Swain is pretty far away from leveling. He can level off of Nox and Fervor, but shouldn't have anything else after that. Do we even want to mess with the harpy here? It's like I'm leaning towards just dropping this shark trainer. We'll see. Let's get this other just giant unit on the board. Can't be excited about attacking now, and then we'll see if we don't get to just slam in next turn. Slamming in doesn't seem that good. Oh, he's gonna let us lose some units. I appreciate that. Aw. So we don't have any equips. I don't really want to drop the harpy without the equips. And then the bummer with the shark trainers, if you don't have an open spot on the board, then you don't get to drop the unit. And so maybe we do want to just still come in with the blood cursed harpy, even though we don't have an equipment, so that we can try and clear out our board a little bit. I think I'm okay with this. The other kind of perk that it does is it ideally makes the opponent just like spend some mana. Like if he comes in this turn with the Leviathan, then I think we just win the game. But let's see how he plays it. Oh shit! I didn't even realize that. I was just completely wrong about the shark trainer. I thought it wouldn't come on if you didn't have space on your bench. But that makes the blood cursed harpy just like the most definitely preferred play here. So do we want to add in the Grumble Slug? We get the Attune, so then we should get the second shark to go with it. I think that's okay. Let us keep our Bandle City Mayor at home. Now let's see if I was wrong about the shark thing again. Alright, well we're getting a shark. Sounds good to me. Not going to be lethal, but we should be getting a pretty big clear on his board. It's giving up on a Swain as well.
Move or be moved.
It's all about these puff caps, right? Oh, is he gonna fall to 1 with what would be 13 puff caps in his deck? It's bold. All right, he's looking to do it. He's looking to fall to 1. Impressive.
You lack discipline.
All right. Fall into 3. A little safer in the face of the incoming puff caps, but I think we're okay. It's like even if we get popped by an AoE, he shouldn't be able to kill us outright next turn, and we get a almost full board recovery. And so ideally we won't be taking damage from this Swain, but the most important things here is he's not flipping, and so he didn't get to get the stuns off of the Leviathan, so our big shark is at least capable of blocking at this point. And then Vandal Gunners was a big addition as well. Leviathan number 2. So he's only got 1 card in hand at this point that we'd have to worry about. I think we can just drop the Vandal Gunners. That should be enough to stop all of his attacks here. Even if he had, I don't know, a Parlay. I don't know if this deck plays Parlay, but if he wants to say Parlay to the face to try and stun the Shark Trainer, we can get around that now as well with the Vandal Gunner. Interesting. He just starts to pass. think we want to lead in with this Pot of Pain onto the Bandle Commando. If something goes completely wrong this turn, I like that we're able to kill with both the Bandle Commando and the Teemo. So we need to get... We don't have to get in front of this thing, right? It's just regular damage. Alright, no, we'll pick up Furious Feyfolk. I don't think we want to try and play it. I don't want to be in this spot next turn to where it's like we play the Feyfolk and then he hits us with a pirouette. Oh shit. I didn't... I forgot that those 4 things were going to be coming in. So this is tough. We can't just attack with Teemo. Maybe we do have to get the Feyfolk on board. Alright, let's start overwriting stuff. Let's start overwriting. Not how I intended that round to go. Alright, Eye of Nagakaboros is fine. That's a very big mana investment in not immediately winning the game. Alright, he's down to 2 manas. Can we do it?
Today the food fights back.
Alright, I'm ready to send the squad. Oh, is he gonna have a weighted deal? Interesting. He didn't come at us with a I saw that card come out and I was like, oh no, he's still got a pirouette in hand, but barely able to take that one down. I think I like coming in and playing all the units here. It's just like if we plan on that Teemo doing the work and we like attack with Teemo and then he's got a Disintegrate play or something, or he's got a Death's Hand, then we just immediately lose. And so I did forget that we were gonna just get like 4 of our dudes stunned for the round. I should have sequenced our units a little bit differently, but it was barely enough in the end. Okay, didn't have any units in our opener. Flush with them now. Decent enough start. Let's see if we bamboozle them with the Cosmic Younglings, right? Do need some targetables here, but I'd rather have the hand that has units in it and no targetables as opposed to something like that original opener where we have a bunch of stuff that can target but no units to go with it. What you thinking, friend? Are you going to heavy metal our Cosmic Youngling? Those are the plays we're expecting today, huh? All right, this is it's starting to be a pretty nasty tentacle. Now that we've picked up the Tellstones, I'd love to see him go, really all in on this tentacle when we're able to drop the Hush. Now, the interesting thing with this one is we can hush the tentacle, but then it's just going to grow after the fact. Let's let this just happen. We can find ourselves in a better spot next turn or a couple turns from now. So we'll just have to take the 5 this round. That's not a big deal. And let's lead with Samira. We shouldn't be able to kill her this turn, and I don't suspect she's going to be able to flip on the opponent's next turn, right? We have all this expensive stuff in our hand, like Double White Flame Pantheon Wielder is not a very not a very conducive collection of cards in terms of playing 6 cards in 2 turns, but I think this is okay.
There are 2 types of people, the quick and the
Really like to pick up an equipment though. It's where we're lacking. I think opponent here is worried about just getting hit by All Out, right? If we take down his tentacle, it's probably a real problem for them. Still looking to play it slow here though. I think at the end of the day, if we just get a target and a hook in on the Watchful Idol, we'll feel pretty decent about the turn. Like, I'm not even opposed to taking a 3-bank on the round, but oh my gosh, he is so all in on this tentacle. Oh man. Alright, let's just pass. That's all this is going to come down to, is if we can take down this tentacle or not. And, you know, we have the 4 mana for the Tellstones, and then we have this Furious Wielder in hand. Oh my gosh, well, we're gonna smoke this thing. But I was ultimately worried that he would have a removal here in the middle of combat. But does not. He's dropping the GGs already. Hopefully we're good and strong now. Our Pantheon is nowhere near flipping. And so we still got quite a bit of work to do in terms of getting him up and running. But one thing at a time. So I'm going to start boosting the White Flame that doesn't have damages on it. We should be, you know, relatively safe here. We've got the Expanse's protection should we need to drop it for the expensive price, but I don't want to go real big on this wounded White Flame and then have it get hit with a Scorched Earth, get hit with a Ravenous Flock, whatever. Alright, Swain's looking big though, that's for certain. Fortunate we can't really do anything here. Still no weapons up to this point. But I think we're still okay. It's a fairly dangerous attack at this point with Swain, and I feel like, well, if we drop Pantheon, I'm curious if he still attacks. Like, he's in the spot to where, you know, 1/2 an ally, +2/2. He's the spot to where, like, if we blocked with Pantheon, he would still overwhelm through and smoke our team. So that's not what I'm looking to see here. All right, so we got the protect through that. I was hoping with this round that we were going to be able to just play the Tellstones and do the thing that makes the big unit. We're gonna have to wait until next turn to do that, but it's on the radar. If that's going to be the plan, let's just take the full bank here, and then next turn we can look to play the giant spell. What are you called? Weapons of the Lost. I think that's where we want to be. Like, if we play Weapons of the Lost, what is that, 9 mana? We would still have 2 behind, so we could end up playing like a Flare. I mean, it's when we have Flare on board already, though, we get to... we have these options to just hook the Swain. Maybe we save the Tellstones for next turn. Alright. We need to end this. I'm just gonna put units down. More Furious Wielders, no units to be seen. Sad day. But how are we gonna end up getting the kill here? It's like, I think, well, I'm tempted to put like Overwhelm onto Samira, but I don't think that's where we want to be. I think, like, I want to add Yulia, and then we can look to target our wounded White Flames as ways to still get faded and do a bunch of damage this turn. Just if we add Yulia and Samira doesn't survive, we got to start throwing away dragons. But I guess the one way to look at this is if he, depending on what he gets on the board here, we can just say hook Swain with the wounded White Flame. And so when Swain would normally get to, say, block a 4 attack unit and take 0 damage, we can still hook Swain with the White Flame and punch in for 4. So as it stands on this board, oh, he's got Ravenous Flock now. I was going to say we can try and hit the Swain that way, but that's not going to be good enough. We have to get rid of him. So we're going to put the Flare onto Yulia.
Enough grief.
And we'll send in the squad. Yeah, not that good. I'm not nearly as happy with this board. Okay to lose Samira, though. He's just so close to dying this way. Right, he's gonna fall to 2, and we have a... we're gonna have a flare in hand. Just the thing that's really smoking us here is we've got these Furious Wielders in hand that we just can't play. Right, there's a Shepherd. Not feeling great about it. Not feeling great.
By my hand will Noxus rise. Grand General!
So I wonder if he ever has a way to just deal damage to face. I think we still just have to target Pantheon with this stuff so that he doesn't...
Anyone seen any sheep around here?
so that he doesn't get killed by the damaged card things. But if he's got like a pirouette to stun, we're really hurting. We can't use the whirling death off of the Tellstones to kill Swain, so that's problematic. Now, if we want to say Furious Wielder the Leviathan, we could. That should give us enough mana to equip a dragon and then block the Swain and not have our units die. All right. Just if he's able to... Oh, no then. Oh, shit, no, we lost our equipment. That was bad. Probably dead now. I guess we can block Swain with the 3 health Wounded White Flame and then flare it. We're treading on thin ice, though. If he lands that AoE, it's gonna hurt so bad.
No god can stall.
Maybe he'll just pass, right? That's what we need. Just pass, no attacks. It's too dangerous. I wonder what other cards he would end up playing here. Maybe the thing that's most worrisome to him is if he's deciding between if we have the Spell Shield card, or if we've got something else. So that's going to make a 2 health Tentacle. Yeah, there's just nothing we can do about it. We can target after the fact, but we're still going to be light on health. Gross. One mana short with the Tellstones, right?
Strength.
Well, at least the thing here is we do get the chance to just put a bunch of damage onto Swain. So we have the potential to maybe have something happen next turn, or we can look to drop the big spell off of the Tellstones and maybe get an attack in. Right, if we get to kill the Swain and then have the big unit on board, he may not have an answer. Well, that's our shot. we gotta take it. The other thing would be to just draw Samira. That would be a reasonable way to achieve victory. Got anything? Staring down the Trifarian Shieldbreaker, saying, "Oh noes, oh noes, bust." That unit is too much. I'm too feared. Well, what you got for us? The Sea's Voice. Nothing we can do about that. Just send the attack on in. I want to hang on to this Guiding Touch. See if we can't get a little bit of a surprise element out of it. I don't think playing it this turn really achieves that much. Would have been more ideal if we got to just completely protect the shield breaker. Fucking A. Alright, next turn. A brutal skirmish. Might be enough. Might be enough. What we're gonna do. He's gonna play a card. Oh, he doesn't go the Swain route. Interesting. I was like, we're gonna play the card draw thing, and then we're gonna hit a didn't do it. I was like, we're gonna hit a Samira and just outright win the game. Didn't come together. All right, well, we have the choice to either play Harazi as an equipment and then look to Brutal Skirmish and Furious Wielder, or just add Harazi to the board. And the Harazi just strikes me as being way better. It's just bigger than the Leviathan. It has the spell shield. You can look to switch a removal spell over to the Shield Breaker now, but we still get the full block onto the Leviathan, and we can then try and take down one of these units. He's going to play a removal on the Shield Breaker. I think we want to Brutal Skirmish off the Shield Breaker onto the Sea's Voice. Keeps his tentacle small. Got to be Scorched Earth, right? Interesting. What's that do? Just make a 4/4 tentacle? Because we don't really want to be full clearing the board here. The thing with here is, like, we want to Brutal Skirmish, but we can't get the full protect. I guess what we can look to do, he's tapped out at this point. Depending on how he attacks, we can just say block the Leviathan with Harazi, and then we can block the Sea's Voice with the Shield Breaker, and then Brutal Skirmish over onto the Tentacle. So we'll still get the kill on the Tentacle. We won't take any damage for the turn. And then he's still just got the one unit behind. I think that's okay. Maybe he just pulls it all back and says, nah, it's too much. It's too much, bust. Uh-oh. I'll pick an enemy first. I was like, what did we do wrong with the Brutal Skirmish? Nothing. Nothing so far. Alright. It's tense. What do you got for us, deck? A Lunari Cultist. Good as we can do. Kinda nasty. Kinda nasty. He's gonna be able to take our Harazi down either way. I think we're done for in this one. We can still give it a bit of time. Like, as it stands, he can't play as Swain this turn, right? If he plays as Swain this turn, then we can try and kill it with Harazi. The frightening thing about him getting to put Swain on the board is going to be if he has a Ravenous Flock in hand. I don't think we can play around that at this point, but it's kind of scary. Anything. Guiding Touch. Okay. I guess we can't complain about the Guiding Touches if we get the time to play it. Just kind of pure value here. And so I think we have to Guiding Touch the Harazi, right? I mean, it's not a particularly ideal target. There we go. There we go. One to the Nexus. Let's double up on our Harazi here. Add in Samira. Now we should get him with the Flare. Oof. Juicy. Okay. I think that's a sad face emote, right? There's nothing. There's nothing they can get for 3 mana. There's no heal out of the opposing factions, and so get that burst kill, you know. GG. Nice. Market a W. Bust.
Make the next mission riskier, huh?
Good games. Good games. All right, next battles. Man, I hope I make it through these next days. It's been tough. I got. I went out the house the other day, maybe less than a week ago, and that like oak tree, just like yellow pollen strand shit was all over the place, and I was like, oh no, oh no. It's that time. I'm just like completely allergic to Kansas City. I never really had issues with allergies until I moved out here. And seeing all that stuff hit the ground, I was like, fuck, this is going to be bad. I got to start loading up on the allergy meds. And then I traveled a little bit as well. And so it was like I went outside, saw all the pollen, and maybe like 2 days later I had to take some plane trips. And I know that the COVID isn't the big deal that it typically is, but it seems like everybody I know that goes on a flight just comes home with COVID. And so I'm really hoping that between the allergies and between the vid that make it through unscathed. I can already feel like a little bit of a tingle in my throat, and so I can't tell if it's just the allergies or the vid or if it's something else, but try and make it through. All right, so what do we got here? We've got Azir action with Shadow Isles. I'm curious if that's some kind of, not a Sundisk deck, but that Ascended Rise, whatever that Sundisk card we tried out a little bit was. Something like that. Got Jhin with PNZ. I think we can reasonably manage against Jhin. A lot of our decks are quite strong against it, especially the Tristana deck. And then the one that I'm kind of eyeballing is the Bard Nora. I just assume that this is maybe some kind of elusives number and the one that I could see potentially giving us the most problems. So we'll take it out of the mix. Then we'll jump into battle with Tristana. Okay, Jhin PNZ. I'm curious what this involves. I mean, it seems to me like it's probably just like the Annie versions, but it might have Mystic shots in it. I don't know. I don't know what you get out of adding PNZ if it's just like not aggressive anymore. But reasonable enough start. We're going to be curving out the whole way, and so that's the kind of big thing against all the Annie versions, at least, is that you get to just do everything that you can to prevent as much damage as you can. And so I'm going to kind of like keep that in mind here. I'm still not certain with seeing something like Acorn come down if this guy's not going to try and just be really aggressive. But having this draw to where we have Teemo on 1, we have Grandfather Faye on 2, we can add Bandle City Mayor on 3 and then play a Hungry Owlcat for free. That tends to just give you enough blockers to really come in and just shut down everything they're doing. And so I feel pretty safe here. I think this is going just fine. Okay. Well, that's not aggressive. And so curious what else we see out of this thing. I don't think we need to just immediately get in front of the Mana Soul. Again, if it was playing Annie, we would be doing whatever we can to just prevent damage, and so it would be a lot more appealing to do stuff like that. But here, I think we can play a little bit slower and play more of a value game. It is tempting to drop Bandle City Mayor, right? We can Bandle City Mayor, and then he's got a -2 cost the Wandering Shepherd. Can pick up the Tenor of Terror here. We have enough equipment already. And then I'm leaning towards just attacking with everybody. We'll see if he plays Jhin, right? If he plays Jhin this turn, we're going to want to Wandering Shepherd the Owl and see if we can't get it up to 4 attack, but everything's okay. It's like, and I think we want the Pot of Pain here, right? We're going to be dropping this Blood Cursed Harpy real quick.
Last night.
herald of something
Sure.
great. What we do is so much bigger than us both.
Right, reasonable enough. Look at how cheap all these cards are. Feels nice. Feels nice. I'm ready to just start throwing units away. We have like so many units at this point, but between having the Tenor of Terrors and then the Grandfather Phase generating units, like we can just throw away units all willy nilly. We need to get some kind of value out of these cards. Opponent's not going to do us any favors. They're not going to attack here and just kill off kill off our Alcat. I really want to pick up the Pot of Pain. Does have a Catalyst out here though that gives some reason for concern, given that if he's going to play like the AoE card, that's certainly capable of blasting us, and so gotta give it a little bit of worry. So now I'm just gonna play the Wandering Shepherd. It's gonna let us bounce the equipment back to our hand, and then we have a guaranteed target for the Blood-Cursed Harpy now. I don't want to be not getting this Harpy on board this turn. That would just be irresponsible. So he might get stunned. That's okay, but definitely this is just the kind of end boss as far as what we can present as damages here. Broadmane. Okay. I guess that's what we're dealing with. So Lord Broadmane with all the... I wonder if there's things like... Is Chempunk Shredder even still in the game? It's been so long since I've thought about Chempunk Shredder that nobody knows, man. Nobody knows. So here, this is fine. If we end up throwing away some of these Bandle City Mayors, it's not that big of a deal. We already have infinite mana at this point, right? 7 mana next turn is pretty much infinite, and so I feel pretty good about being able to just throw down a unit later. Oh, you didn't kill any of them. Drop a little cupcake in here. Not sure how I feel about this. They're using the Nora cupcake instead of the Garen. Yeah, the opponent, every time I see it, I feel like the opponent's just outdoing us. That Garen is way better than what we're way better than what we're bringing. You know, the new icon comes out, you got to give it a try. You got to give it a taste, and I don't dislike it. But man, the Garen cupcake is just so much better. I wonder if the artists at Riot sit around and argue about this stuff. Whoever's cupcake is better, whoever's theme turned out the best. All right, what do we got going on here? That's gonna kill a Blood-Cursed Harpy. I did the mathematics on that one. Are we at lethal yet? I mean, he's got one card in hand. We're playing Tristana. I think we might need to cycle out some of these units. Like, we could probably pretty safely just drag this game on. I mean, we attack 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Like 13 damage is what we got. Okay. Still gonna just put this Pot of Pain onto Tristana. I know that doesn't get us any extra damage, but if he's gonna have like a damage-based way to get in front of her, I would like to protect her. So if he's gonna have a play like that last turn where he plays the 1 damage and 1 damage thing, it's like if we don't get the lethal, we do want to be able to refill the board. So maybe we should have just gone for it. I don't know. It's like we essentially had 4 units in hand before the turn even started. So may not have even needed to do so. But Teemo Tristana are victorious. See what old Pantheon Samira can do here. Did not expect the Broadmanes to come out though. So it's a little scary seeing the Broadmane turn up. But opponent moves to action Azir. He says, I can't play the same deck twice. Get me away from that. Reasonable board. Now, we played, like, I'm curious if this is just like the Nasus deck we played, right? Maybe a week or two ago, we played Action Nasus, coming out of the Shadow Isles and using some of the new, whatever it is. I call it Ascended's Rise. I don't think that's the right name. It's the 5-mana spell that costs 2 less for every Ascended that you play. And looking to make usage of it. I don't know if that's what we're going to be seeing here, though. It doesn't make as much sense having Azir turn up as much as Renekton. So I'm just going to take this damage. I guess he has like no reason to not attack. I was hoping that maybe he sees the bigger unit on board and then just chooses not to attack. That would have been pretty sweet, but wasn't quite the case.
Take the shot or lose the chance.
All right, let's start boosting the squad. This Cosmic Youngling. God, there's so much work. It's about to be so big. Can't even hit it with the Quietus. Well, that's kind of fucked up. I didn't know this card was even still in the game. Well, not in the game is the wrong way to say it. I didn't know it was still in standard. Like literally I think the only Shadow Isles I've played since the rotation happened was that like that one video of the one video of playing playing that Nasus deck. And that was like not. I guess it was a lot of Shadow Isles cards. The only Shurima cards in it were the champions, but just doesn't see particularly much play. I'm curious though. It's very interesting the way that Riot has the game set up and the way that they're going after things. Like if you look towards pretty much every other game, every other card game, I should say. So if we're like talking about Magic or Hearthstone or whatever. The sets are all balanced in terms of units, and so whenever you go to this is dumb. Like I don't want to Furious Wielder this thing. He's just picked up a big champion in hand, but our hand doesn't do anything. I guess we can 3-bank. But no, it's like you look at Magic. There's 5 colors. They're all balanced. A new set comes out. A balanced number of cards come out for that set. But whenever you look at something like Runeterra, to where that first set came out, but the cards in it were like Noxus, PNZ, and Ionia, and so we probably won't see any of those outside of variety sets for the rest of the year. And things like Shadow Isles haven't had the chance to get their new cards, and so they're a little bit underrepresented out the gates. But here, I'm going to go ahead and take a swing at action. He's got another champion in hand, right? He played I didn't watch it. I forgot he was playing multi-faction, but he played the Ambassador, and it seemed like the card went back up into his hand. And so it feels like he's probably got the bigger unit. We've been talking about Nasus so much, I thought he was just playing Nasus as it is. And I was like, well, if he has the Nasus and he's got the bonus from the Sandkeeper, and then we're able to just hush him with the Tellstones, then that should just be another blowout like against the Tentacle guy, but I haven't been paying complete attention in this game and slipped away from us a little bit.
We're not taking it. We're taking it.
All right, Vagabond on board. Drop in the Cultist. Need to get some more targets this turn, but it shouldn't be that hard to do. I was thinking in my head we can start to do this thing where we just cycle the equipment around on the same unit just to get more targets in. And we might find ourselves doing that. Not a particularly strong Expanses protection, but this is all we got. These bad units is all that's going on out here, and so I want to make sure we at least get the big bonuses out of these units we do have. All right, so we bank up some more. I was kind of curious if we actually wanted to play the Lodestone, because we're in this spot to where we're so close to just actually playing the Harazis that there's some argument to just kind of keep them at home. And then the other thing that we can do is you can play Harazi. We could play Harazi on the opponent's next turn, And then as we cycle back to our turn, we could put Yulia onto the Harazi so it has Overwhelm, and then it supports a unit and gives it Overwhelm as well. But I feel like just getting this board presence is going to be enough, as opposed to just trying to make some kind of big... make some kind of big, like, Darken-based play, right? This board should be pretty challenging for the opponent to deal with. Soul Cleaves. Yeah, I'm not gonna allow that. It's just no thank you. It's not even that good, right? I mean, it does, I guess, pop the Warlord's Palace and generate a card draw and everything, but I feel so confident already having this Hush in hand that I don't think we need to risk it. We'll have our boy Pantheon coming down next turn as well, and so seems decent. Should be tough to recover from. Again, he should still have a champion in hand. I thought that he drew a card off the Golden Ambassador. I wasn't paying total attention, I do concede, but I think that was the case. But I mean, a big Azir at this point, like a 3/7 Azir at this stage of the game, isn't that intimidating.
Tomorrow we live.
So with this board, again, I don't care about these units. I'm just going to go for damages. So I'm going to play the Flare to deal damage. I'm going to play Samira, and we're going to gem up the Pantheon. Well, let's play Samira first. I guess we're never playing 6 spells on the turn, but she seemed like a reasonable one to get on board first. I think it's done either way. I mean, you can start to think it's like, well, how do I ever lose this game? It probably involves something like a Targonian or a Shurima Tellstone generating the -2 thing, the 7-cost spell that gives -2 to the board and does 2 damage to everything. But I mean, that just doesn't even seem like enough to stop us here. So we did miss the damage on the Flare.
Take everything.
Whoa, interesting. Is that flip?
Remember this.
Sure doesn't. Could have blocked one of these with Samira to get that extra point of damage in, but I don't know. just saying I don't think it matters doesn't really make up for playing poorly, but I don't think it matters.
This should be fun.
Cry war.
And so we'll get the attack in. We're gonna boost our good units, really spread out the damages here. So he's gonna have to probably put a Azir in front of Pantheon, then have a little bit of more. Not enough. GG. Curious what he was doing though. That's what was going to be swinging at us with the. It wasn't a Sun Disc deck. I'm just curious what else was there. All right, next battle. So I've given you all this sweet knowledge before. I'm putting some of my great advice into action, and so having a Mother's Day get together tomorrow, today when this video comes out, and I had to bring a side dish. I went with the caprese skewers, right? It's actually kind of cool because in my hydroponic garden I've got going on. I've got the basil and I've got the little cherry tomatoes or grape tomatoes, so I got all that stuff. Just had to go out and buy the cheese. But if you ever need a little snack to take to an event, super easy to do, right? You just get little grape tomatoes and you get basil and you get little mozzarella balls and you just jam it onto a toothpick. But the kind of topping you put on it and where this story is going is a balsamic vinegar reduction. And so the first time I put this together, I was reading through the recipe and it just tells you to go and boil a bunch of balsamic vinegar, and after it cooks down a little bit, then it's reduced and thick. But the thing they don't tell you in doing that is your whole house is going to smell like fucking vinegar for a week. And I got into a little bit of trouble with the rest of the family in terms of the sweet vinegar smell carrying through the course of the house. And so I learned my lesson. I got to the grocery today, and you can buy it already reduced. You know, you can spend that $6 and not have to to not have to fill the flavor throughout the entire home. But I mean, if you live for an apartment, go for it. You know, if you wanna make friends with the neighbors, just get to it. Just get to boiling some vinegar. Those people will not be pleased. All right, into the action though. This is a pretty easy ban on Karma Set. This is one that we ban pretty much every time. Again, going back to it, if we're looking for decks that have the most targeted removal, we're talking cards that can basically stop an Aatrox. Karma Set has both Concussive Palm and it has Tag Out. And so with the 6 spells, I look to stay away from that. And then I'm fine enough to play the Mirror against Aatrox Vayne or the Sword of Mirror against Samira Varus. All right, let's lead off with old Samira. Opponent takes our Tristana away from us. See how it goes. It's kind of interesting. I think both of our Samira matchups should be good. Like Samira Varus is fairly strong against the likes of Aatrox Vayne, and I mean I don't know how this mirror match pans out, but I kind of like I kind of like the Pantheon a little bit more than the Varus, just in terms of consistency. And so let's see how this goes down. So interesting here. Like I'm definitely keeping Samira and Lunari Cultist. It's a matter of do we want the Youngling, and I think it's okay to ship away. It's not like super strong in this matchup, and I really want to find an equipment. So want to just improve our chances of doing so. Now we will have to watch ourselves here. One of the big pain points is like we're both going to pass on turn 1, and then on turn 2. We'll have to see if we get to drop the Samira or not. I'm not planning on doing it because it's just very common for the opponent to pass to us as kind of a bait for the Samira, and then they come in and try and follow up after that. But if he's going to be dropping Lunari Cultists, then we're safe to bring our Samira on board. Not in a gigantic hurry to get that Pantheon leveled up. We don't have one in hand, and he's got some time before he's strong. All right. Happy to get the Wounded White Flames going, though. Great target with the Flare. Ideally, we'll get a combat here where Samira can attack. That's what just happened. He didn't play any units. Chomp chomp, motherfucker. That's what you're supposed to say. But if we get any kind of combat trick out of this, I'll be quite happy. If we win the combat, even better. Pretty good start for Team Bust here.
Take the shot or lose the chance.
All right, let's see. Maybe we'll get the full blowout if he equips Samira, and then we get to drop the Brutal Skirmish. Well, I think we can wait on opponent to play a Flare. Before it gets to that, though, do we want to equip anybody, either Samira or the Dragon? And I'm kind of like leaning towards Samira here. It's just like the Dragon is such a scary target for him. It's like maybe we hold off on it. Well, I probably should just hold off on it, right? Since she's not winning any combat against quick attackers. I think it's okay. But I assume opponent's going to say, like, Flare one of these units. He probably won't attack with both. I assume he's probably just going to say Flare Samira and send her into the our Samira. But he doesn't have any mana if he does that, though. I was thinking in my head he's going to be able to both Pale Cascade and play Flare. And I don't think that's the case here. So it would be pretty cool for us if he just passes. I would approve. I would appreciate. Now, the interesting thing with this, Varus's stats here are attached to the bow, right? He's got the +1 attack. He's naturally a 4/4 here because of the gem. But 2 of this attack is coming from the bow. So when we Brutal Skirmish here, we're going to blow up the bow. Varus is going to become a 4/4. We're going to be a 5/5 because of Fated. And then we'll kill the Varus while our unit survives. Pretty cool, huh? You're right, Bust. That was pretty cool. Spot on, Bust. All right, looking good. So let's drop the equipment onto the Dragon. Ideally, we would pick up a...
Anyone seen any sheep around here?
Pick up a quick attack. I guess Overwhelm is going to be pretty reasonable here as well. And now we have the mana to both flare and all out. Getting further and further ahead. He's got to add something to the board here. Oh, wrong one.
No problem.
So, should be pretty safe. Big old chunk coming through as well. Nice 11-piece nugget coming through to the dome. I don't think this deck can interact here too well. Right, it tends to play a bunch of furious wielders, but that's not a reasonable way to get the kills on our units. The Violent Discord does it. But I think it's still okay. He should hopefully struggle to deal with the dragon here. And then having these Overwhelm equipments is quite good as well. Just the thing that kind of sucks for opponent is you really want to have, say, like Samira and Varus on the board on the opposing attack token, and then you get to bank a little mana and untap on your turn as the means to, you don't want to be getting into combat with 2 mana. You want to get into combat with 6 or 7 mana, and if you have to play Varus on the same turn, then you're not able to quite pop off like that. So, if we go into this next turn, an opponent drops Varus, but then only has like 3 mana, leaves us in a fairly decent spot. But here, I want to get a spell shield. Oh no, the spell shield doesn't work. It's like him getting a quick attack into the Wounded White Flame is going to be, it's going to be painful. We can try to get the Lunari Cultist in front of it, but I don't think we'll have time. I guess he doesn't have any. He doesn't have any tokens at the moment. Still don't really want to block any of this stuff. I'd rather come at him on the crack back, but 6 hits, not that bad. Alright, so how do we want to go about this? I'm leaning towards just targeting the Wounded White Flame with gems, and then getting a bank into the next turn, and then we can get another target and play Pantheon. The key moment right now is, again, his way of interacting should be a merciless strike thing, right? Whatever the big strike card is called coming out of the cultist package, shouldn't have to worry about the smaller damage spells here. So we should have time to respond. Ideally, we're going to come into next turn. We'll just use Yulia to put a spell shield on the White Flame. That'll give us the 5 targets for Pantheon, and then the combination of those 2 units will be enough to take it down. I guess we do have to worry a little bit about this Samira, right? We're taking an awful slow path here to where we're doing a slow card followed by a slow card followed by an attack. If he comes out here and is able to just, like, spew on us, we definitely have the chance to fail. And so do we want to kind of change our mind with this? If he's already got 1 card. If he comes into the next turn and plays the flare, that's 1, and then plays 2 more cards for a rally at burst speed, do we just lose the game? And that's pretty close. So if we're going to move away from that, can we just win the game with an open attack? And that might be close enough. And so I think I just want to spell shield the dragon while we can, and then we're just going to open. Just need to deal 7. The dragon kills through both of his guys. Oh, do you know what's disaster, though? I didn't think about... oh, shit. We're about to get fucked. I didn't think about the cultist spell. Just when if he's going to double spell us this turn. I wasn't thinking that he was going to be able to get units. Fuck. So that was definitely not good. I was worried about this same thing just happening next turn. F. All right, well, we're counting on you now, Pantheon. You gotta do the work. Let's just play Samira. Oh, that was brutal. We should have just sent it off. Like I guess the same thing would have came close to happening here on this turn, but the thing we were ultimately worried about started to come forward.
Then your petty war.
All right, well, let's see what we can do here. I'm looking to put the challenger onto Yulia. So at worst, we can hopefully just challenge Samira with Yulia, and then we'll have to see what happens with the Pantheon flip. We do miss out on a Fated that way, which is kind of a bummer. But maybe we do go for Pantheon, because I guess the question to ask is, like, are we ever realistically gonna win the game this turn? And so if we want to think of it in that sense, we could say, well, if Pantheon hits elusive, and oh my god, is he really gonna fucking rally out the gates? Oh, you gotta be kidding me. We could have blocked Pantheon, or we could have blocked Varus last turn. I just didn't feel like the rally was possible, and fucking brutal, right? The Varus didn't have Overwhelm last turn. Fucking brutal. That's insane. He played 11 spells over the course of the 2 turns. Oh my god. Well, that's what we get for being greedy. But I kind of felt like we were going to be able to punch in for like 3 damage off of our units, and then come in with just enough from Pantheon after the fact there. But I guess we should have thought through that one a little more. But he did pull off the thing that I was, most concerned with there, and being able to rally. I just didn't think he'd be able to do it twice. Whew, man. All right, next battles though. I'm curious, like, I didn't stop to do any math there, but I'm curious if we would have been able to even stop that attack, that second one. It seems like Varus was up to like 17. I don't think that we even had the stats to get in front of him in that space. So are we ever blocking here? Probably not.
No need to make a name for myself. Just an impression.
We did pick up the Brutal Skirmish, which is kind of nice, but we don't have any units capable of winning these battles. Okay, we'll go ahead and take the target for the turn. I'm not like excited to Pale Cascade into this unit. It's just like a little bit too strong. I feel a little bit better just dropping Cultists in. We'll see if he spends any mana on the round, or if he plays a different unit. Like our Samira is a little naked here. If he comes at us with a challenger bird, then she's probably gonna struggle. But I think if he starts to go all in on the birds at this point, we should be okay. We should be able to say he plays the bird and puts the quick attack equipment on it, then having the Brutal Skirmish plus the Cultist should be enough. I just didn't want to trade our Samira for a... It's not Ranger's Resolve anymore, but whatever that thing is called. Alright, and then I'll go ahead and drop the Lodestone. We're not going to have the mana to play a ton of tricks this turn, and so with him just coming in with the bird, and we have another Samira in hand, I think I just want to go for the Pale Cascade. Right? This isn't a particularly juicy Brutal Skirmish, given that the bird doesn't have an equipment on it. So bird's gonna die. He's down to 2 mana. Do we want to take the flare? I don't think so. I don't think that 1 point of damage is how I want to take this game. Can be brutal though. He's still got that 4 mana, so if he comes at us with a second Quinn Bird along with a second Quinn Bird along with a good equipment, he'd get us. He'd get us with the 4 attack challenger, but this is okay. Try round 2 with the Samira. I think we'll just play her again. It just doesn't strike me as wanting to put Challenger onto the Cultist. Could have been okay, but just a little slow. And a fish fight. That's painful. Don't think we have a good way to get ourselves out of this one. Okay. R.I.P. Samira. So how do we want to push forward with this? Like, the Lunari Cultist isn't quite good enough. I think we're just looking at, say, playing Cosmic Youngling and then putting a Ballista on it and passing the turn. That doesn't sound very good. I mean, we can put the Ballista on the Youngling and then flare into the Elkin. At least get it off of the board. But staring down this Badger Bear doesn't feel great. I mean, maybe we still just attack into it. Well, I'm definitely happy to just attack into the Defector. That dum-dum out of here. That's still a Corn bringing the thunder, am I right? Certainly is. Certainly is. It's a scary unit, though, in the Defector, especially when he already has an equipment in hand. Doing the work, my friend. Heal yourself that point of damage. Feel good about it. Pad our health. Nobody respects the Youngling, yo. So he's about to Furious Wielder down an Aatrox is what's going to happen. You heard it here first. Opponent's going to drop an Aatrox and we're going to bring the thunder on it. Nope. Changed his mind. So 7 coming in. I don't think we need to get in front of any of this. All of our targets aren't very good. We'll just skip over that. Means, like, I guess we could play Camphor. It feels just like a little dangerous playing him without the spell shield, but like, what else are we gonna be doing this turn? We can, say, put a Shepherd onto the Youngling just to get the target. Seems better than just dropping gems on it. And I guess taking a 3-bank into next turn's not terrible. We still want to be able to Furious Wielder after that. Okay. So what do we got? Anything good? Upcycle Drake is strong. It's not the strongest card to have for the Youngling in particular, but switching it around to a Camphor or something can be pretty juicy. Let's see what he does. If he starts equipping this Vayne, I feel pretty good about a Brutal Skirmish. I'd like to get the Darkened Spear just like broken and removed before it becomes an Anaka. He's been really light on equipment this game. Is that worthy of a takedown? I think so. I think so. Like, this does quite a bit in destroying the Lodestone, killing the Vayne, preventing the tumble from cheapening up. And he only has 1 card in hand, so he really needs it to be like a catch if he wanted to protect the Vayne there. All right, mini movie. Definitely want to get the Camphor equipped as we go into the next turn and need to use the Furious Wielder. If he, starts to get, if his like play for next turn is to just drop a Naka, then that's quite strong for us to just drop the Ballista. He does have the options here to say, tumble onto one of these units. I don't think we have to worry about it though. And do we ever just pass here? And it's like having like Aatrox in hand is pretty tempting for opponent.
Hey, stop that.
Okay, I'm just gonna give this the block. I want to keep the Anaka on board. Chunk in for whatever little damage we can, and then, oh my god, what a disaster, what a disaster. I was not counting on that being the last card to come at us. At least we're not lethal with what's on board, so we will get a chance to drop some units. Oh, cool. Cool. He's still short of the lethal. Let's play the youngling first. We need to gem. We're gonna be just a little bit too slow. We can gem, we can ballista. It's only going to get our guy to 4, but then he can hook it out with the Fleet Feather Tracker. We needed. Okay, we're just dead. Whew, that was tough, man. Like it's one of those spots to where, like, how do you ever win the game if you're not starting to get attacks in there? It's not an attack that really advances our board that far. Like when we attack with Camphor and just having him get blown up, but that was tough. That was just like an all around kind of brutal set of games. Like when we played the first matchup against Varus again, like it was a very odd turn where we decided to play the Yulia because we just lose if we run into the rally. I didn't really expect him to rally so fast, and he did it. And I most certainly did not expect him to play 11 spells bridged across one turn. Right? We finished our turn. He played 5 spells, rallied, and attack. It went to our turn. We played 1 card, and then he played 6 spells of burst speed and attacked and killed us. Like that's a fairly ridiculous angle to kind of have to like sit and observe. And again, like we had some potential outcomes there to where we could have blocked Varus and on the first go round to prevent 7 damage, but I didn't think we were gonna be that slow. And it's just like I didn't really expect again 11 spells of burst speed to come out. It is kind of fucking absurd. And so that one was tough. The second one's a little different. The combat trick there at the end was painful, but I'm not even convinced that if we won that attack against the Vayne, if we would have even been able to survive. I mean, having the unit on board would have been fine, but I don't think we were in a spot where we could choose to not attack. I think we needed one of those turns to where we attacked, something successful had with that, Camphor survived, we went into the next turn, we blocked a unit, and then we Furious Wieldered at Aatrox. I don't think that just not attacking ever gets us the win. We were too low in health. But good games. On to the next one. Ugh. People cutting grass. Add that to the allergy season stuff. You see all the pollen on the trees and people outside cutting grass. Ugh. Ready to stay inside until November. It's too hot. It's too hot. All right. It's tough. Like I was thinking in the previous video to where it feels like a 5-1 record in these rumbles is pretty good, given that the competition is pretty fierce in these. But It's like if I stopped to think about it, as to where if you say go 5-1 and run a rumble, and then kind of 5-1 in another rumble, and kind of combine that together and call that a Runeterra Open, that's still not even good enough to make a top cut. Like it's pretty challenging across the board in these things just to get the 5 wins, and let alone essentially going undefeated twice in these battles. It's quite tough. Even like one of the things that really kind of like chapped my ass in terms of seeing like a lot of the players talk about the previous open season was how the pairings worked, and how some people had to play against more Masters players than other people, and you know I was so shafted in the event because I had to play against 6 real players and 3 players that were in bronze, as to where this other dum only had to play 2 Masters players, and seeing a lot of stuff like that. It really just kind of bothered me seeing that. It's just like such a terrible mindset to have coming into one of these games. Like, when did you ever hear, say, like Michael Jordan come out and say, "Oh man, we had to play against a tough opponent today. That was bad," right? It sounds fucking absurd, right? You never hear anyone trying to reach the peak of the game say, "Oh man, we had to play against somebody tough." Like, their mindset is, I'm the best in the world and I want to prove it, so I want to play against the best in the world. And to hear all these people be like, "Oh, I didn't get to play against anybody in Wood 4 today. My open was brutal. My open was done." It's like, fuck off, dude. That's just such an absurd take. All right, though, back to the action. We're just going to ban out Karma Set again. A rough kind of lineup against us with both Darkness and Deep in it, but we're going to give it a go. We're going to give it a shot. And this is the way I prefer to take these. These are Shadow Isles decks, right? They're going to both be packing Vengeances, but I like to just take down the decks that have the biggest single target removal. And so the Karma Set deck, again, it has 6. It's going to have Concussive Palms. It's going to have Tag Outs. As to where these decks should realistically just have like the 3 big removal spells. They may have a like Piercing Darkness, but that's not as concerning, as the rest of those actual good spells. But need to find a cheap play. Let's see if we can't find a Stellacorn or 2. Wounded White Flame, you're going to get the job done. All right, so Samira turns up. Are we willing to just drop her at the risk of getting hit by a Quietus? I don't think so, given the way that our hand looks. We'll take just the little bit slower path. Opponent's not going to play any card that we really care about challenging here, and I like being able to go into these future turns with these Pale Cascades that we could use to protect Samira. So I'm going to go ahead and play the heal card. Opponent never blocks the 2/3. It's just not enough damage to be relevant, and so I don't want to just attack for 2 and heal after the fact.
With our crystals combined.
All right, Twisted Catalyzer comes in. That Darkness is about to get up to 3. Let's just drop the Wounded White Flame. We can threaten a lot of pressure on this board. We at least get the Furies against all of this. So what happens with this? He gets to hate spike our unit, but then it still gets the kill onto the Catalyzer. Okay. So I think I want to hold back on this Pale Cascade. Like, as we go into the next turn, I could realistically see us playing both Pale Cascades on the Samira, just to cycle through them. Maybe not. Maybe it's fine to just let her eat the Darkness. Like, we're really kind of hamstringing ourselves in terms of leveling up this Pantheon. We'll try Lodestone, though. It gives a nice bait for a Quietus. We would like to have it at some point, but... Okay, this is good. Now we can bring in Samira. She's going to die. She's going to get hit with the Darkness, but we can at least take down the Senna. I wonder if he actually lets the Samira survive and then darknesses down our dragon. Looks like that's the way they're going to take it. Okay.
Getting dark.
She's seen 2 spells up to this point. It's not unreasonable whatsoever to get up to the flip next turn since we have the Lunari Cultist in hand. So, we'll see. Pantheon at 2 ticks up. We've been pretty slow in it this game.
Deluded fools.
Alright, what you got for us now, my dude? So we need 3 spells for Samira. Like, I don't want to get overly invested into her. It's like we're at this point to where, you know, if opponent's going to have a vengeance to kill Samira, we only have 1 cop. Oh, this is our second one. I was going to say, if we only have 1 copy left, I'm not super excited about... I'm not super excited about, like, flipping her, since it's pretty tough to get around the opposing vengeance, but I think this is okay. I do want to spread out the cards here a little bit. We put the equipment onto our dude, and then flip the Samira, so if he does come in with a vengeance or a piercing light here, we haven't devoted all of our resources to Samira. So I would say it's pretty safe to say that they don't have a piercing light or a piercing darkness, whatever that thing is called, the 5 damage drain. Vengeance is still on the table, right? As we go into this next turn, it's not unreasonable to think he's just sitting on a vengeance and he's going to try and kill the Samira in combat. But I think we're safe, at least in terms of the big removal spell. How are we doing this? I don't really want to get Pantheon on the board here, but I do want to start dropping through some of these cards. I guess the question comes down to, do we really want to say, like, open attack here? And I don't think so. What I'm kind of eyeballing here is on the opposing next turn, we'll probably just play the Darkened Lodestone if Samira gets killed. So we have kind of 2 trees here, right? We get to invest a little bit in Samira, and then if she gets killed, we're going to go into the Lodestone Pantheon. But if she survives, we're going to try and get a rally next turn. I think this is easy enough to just play slow. Like, let's put Challenger onto her. Just get the spells started.
No problem.
Nothing too crazy. See then if this is mini morph, sure. This is something, right? Just now that we can pretty safely switch over to this plan with Harazi. Oh shit! I thought our Samira was dead. Oops! I had in my head the 3 damage was coming from darkness, and I knew that, like, the Dark Bulb Apocalypse generates darkness, and so my head just kind of, like, short-circuited there and said, oh, okay, well, if he's generating darkness, that thing does 3 damage. So we didn't need to Pale Cascade, but turns out it's going to be okay at the end of the day. So now a fair question we're going to have is, do we want to equip one of these lodestones next turn? This turn, I should say. So next turn, Pantheon either just comes onto the board flipped, or we can do a target first. And I think we want to... Like, I'm going to play Harazi, but I think this turn we're also going to equip a lodestone. I don't think we want 2 Harazis on this board. I mean, that's not terrible, right? If next turn, instead of playing Pantheon, we just put a second Darkened Lodestone on the board. I think I'd rather make him invest in our board this turn. Like, let's just get going with the Pantheon plan. We'll see if something turns up to where he can't get an extra target. Like, we could always just put this Darkened Lodestone onto the Harazi so that we get a target before we play our Pantheon. Ooh, Samira turned up. How much is all this? She gives us a free flare. We have to just start with Samira.
Or forgiveness.
It's been decided. We have to start with Samira. I think we're in good shape. I mean, like, what would we have to worry about here? Like a Des and Ada? Are Des and Ada scary? Oh, that sucks for opponent. That is very expensive. All right, so here's what I'm looking at now. We're gonna get the target first, so we get the extra level up for our Pantheon. I'd really like it if he hit Spell Shield, and so that's what my main target with this was. He missed. He's got Elusive, Regenerate, Fury, Brash, Augment, and now I'm looking to just put the Darkened Lodestone onto Pantheon. We can shift the Spell Shield over to him off of the Harazi. Well, if that's going to be the case, he's just going to grow bigger than the Fated, right? Did we ever just kill this turn? we should have focused in on that a little bit more. If we could have put the Challenger onto the Cultist and then Furious Wield. No, we didn't have the stats to Furious Wielder here. Okay. We could Brutal Skirmish. That would have been a way to do it, but I think we're just too short on all that stuff. All right. Is that right? So we're going to have an 8-8, or is that a 9-9 Pantheon? He's an 8-8. Okay.
Oh, my dear.
But he does get the Spell Shield now. A little sloppy. We could have thought through that one a little bit better, but we're still in a pretty good spot, I think. Think it's gonna be okay.
Guess I'm the big guns now.
So Senna comes in. It's like, I'm kind of thinking about if we do this a little differently and then just say drop the Naganika, and then the Naganika gets to the Naganika gets to fight something at the end of the turn. But I think I'm looking to just equip a unit. I want the unit to be our Harazi, because it's going to have the safety net of the Spell Shield, and then we're just going to start throwing down Furious Wielders. So let's go ahead and pop Senna before she's able to attack. One less that he's able to get. We're going to see 3 damage come onto Pantheon. I'm not entirely certain what the angle with that is. We can look to protect Pantheon with Blessing of Targon, but it doesn't strike me as something we're going to need.
We will shake the heavens without victory.
All right. 1 victory against darkness. Let's see what our friends Aatrox and Kayn. Not Kayn. Poor guy. I see people playing Kayn occasionally, and I kind of want to, but it just feels so bad. He's so interesting with cards like Prize Fight, but it's just too much. It's too much. All right, so here we'll keep the bird and an equipment. This is one of these games that it ultimately feels like if we play this bird and he doesn't have a group shot or he doesn't have a pastry toss, then we're off to the races. Like, we should be in pretty tip-top shape the rest of the way. And if he does have it and gets that shut down immediately, then we're kind of hosed. And so we'll see. See if he's got the 3-2 at this point. If he doesn't have it, then I'm going to feel pretty spectacular. Got to quiet us, I guess. Soul Harvest, yeah. I forget about that one on occasion. But that was such a great place to be able to pop off. At least you see the soul harvest come in before the Vayne does. Now, do we want to take this trade? I don't think so. Letting him get these bigger darknesses is, of course, kind of sucky, but I just think we have to count on this Vayne to get something going. Like, if she gets popped with a vengeance here, we're just kind of fucking dead. But we need something to start going our way. And I think Vayne is the kind of driving force in that.
Bring me your darkness, my comrade. Smooth brain fool.
All right. Got the 4 damage darknesses. Rip Vayne. It's like the thing that's painful with this is I don't mind so much that he's been able to like prevent the damage all up to this way. The big thing that's a real pain point for us, especially with this turn where we just can't fucking play anything, is our World Ender is stuck at like 14 mana right now. Just can't play it. 15 mana. So yeah, this is fairly disastrous. We can see what happens. I mean, we're just kind of forced into playing Aatrox here and hoping for the best. I mean, I guess we could play a Broadwing and then put an equipment on it. I mean, that's not terrible. Just give us a chance to try and spend a bunch of mana. Like, if he comes at us with like the vengeance onto the Broadwing, we did at least get to like respond with a condemn. So the darkness does 4 at the moment. All right. Do your best, bird. He's probably going to block and then hit it with the darkness, but I guess that's not terrible at the end of the day. We're only overbanking 2 this round. Our life total is still fairly healthy, and then, you know, from this point forward, I guess we just start playing Darken, you know? And so we're still in it, even though this start has been completely abysmal. Hills, yeah, 14 cost World Ender. But, I mean, we can get nasty next turn, right? Just assuming opponent doesn't have a darkness or something to take down Aatrox. I'm actually pretty okay with him killing the Aatrox here. The thing I want to do on this next turn is I want to play the Darkened Spear, and then I want to tumble it. And so we'll see if that comes to fruition. Do we leave the Vhagar? We can't. Well, we could let Vhagar flip. Like, if we want to, like, stop and think about this game in the sense of, you know, like, how do we ever really win it? Is killing Vhagar the answer? And then say we just attack with the Darkened Spear and Aatrox next turn? I mean, maybe that's okay. But if we put... yeah, this works, I guess, right? We can fish fight. It's going to take Aatrox to 5 health. 5 health survives the darkness. He does die to a darkness plus another card, but something has to go right. Okay, that's fine. So yeah, the downside to that angle is we can't play the tumble on the Anaka next turn, but we can play other fish fights. We have a million fucking fish fights in our hand. Yeah. Sad noise.
All must end.
All right. Well, prepare to eat it. Well, I guess he doesn't. He does have the darkness in hand, but he can't play the Vhagar if he does play the darkness. All right. What you got for us, my friend? The flipped Vagar coming in. I wonder if he's ready to just send everything to the face. I mean, we can still come in with our other Darkens, but it's pretty healthy damage to the Nugget. He is just going for it. This is a... Well, let's do this, right? Let's fish fight Vagar, and then I'm looking to just put the Darkened Blade onto Harazi. I think that's the kind of safe way to go about it. He shouldn't be able to kill the Harazi, even if he's starting to get into combat with it, and then... Signpost. Okay. That sucks. I don't care as much about the Signpost as much as the Vagar just sitting around generating darknesses every turn. Alright. Alright. You just gotta have something go well. So we should be able to kind of respond in time. I think we get to still equip up the Defector and try and get some attacks in this turn, right? We can equip, and then he's gonna play a card that generates a darkness, and then we can try and kill Vagar after the fact, right? This counts as our scout attack, though, if we use Cataclysm. Alright. Probably should be doing this off the spell shielded unit anyways, right? That's just that's a pretty scary proposition if we use a normal unit. Like, we would never be using the mini T, I guess, but the potential for the like, if we just always, the Extali lets him send to face anyways, doesn't it? Copy it targeting the Nexus. Yeah. Okay. Fine. But that game was a disaster. I'm okay with the sequence as it happened, as to where he shut down our first unit and shut down our Vayne, but sitting on turn 5 and just not playing any cards is a complete disaster. But that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes, man. Just gotta brush yourself off and move on. Okay. Up against deep. Maybe. Maybe up against deep. There he goes. He's prepared now. So what you got for us, game? I think I'm happy enough to hang on to Vayne Blinding Assault. We need an equipment to go along with this to make the hand not suck. Like, these Blinding Assaults aren't very good if we don't have the equipment to go with it. But it's such a high power early play, I think I'm willing to hang on to it. Just Darkness doesn't have a ton of good answers to these. They of course have the Drain card, but you don't typically see a lot of things like Make It Rain come out of these decks. Right, well, Aegius now. We'll see. We'll see if we can't say, I wonder if he like says open attacks, we play the Badger Bear, and then he hits. Are we ever willing to just throw away a bird? I think it's okay. So we put the bird in front of the sea monster, then we follow up with the other bird. Interesting. Well, I don't know if this deck plays Make It Rain. I don't think that it does, but I'm going to equip our unit first. Heavy Metal. I forgot about Heavy Metal. That's a pain one. That's a painful one. All right, well, let's get our other bird on board. At least try and take down the Jaw Hunters. This is gonna be trouble. let's take the units where we can get them. Alright, no way to stop us there. Make something happen, right? Alright, let's drop in Badger Bear. I don't think I'm quite ready to just drop in Vayne. It feels like a pretty bad combat if she's coming in. Especially with Maokai coming on the board. But I think we can fish fight him away fairly quickly and then feel a little bit better about this. So that's going to give him a challenger, so we need to play an equipment right now. We can play the harp. It's just going to come back to hand when we fish fight. Look at that aggro Maokai coming at you. Alright, then we're just going to drop Aatrox here, right? He's so slow at this point, but it's like this Dead Bloom Wanderer is the thing I'm kind of eyeballing as being a problem here. I'm kind of wanting to just say play Fleet Feather Tracker, Vayne, and then the Darkened Harp, and try to deal with him later.
Those who kill innocent.
It's a pretty big mana investment to have this stuff go wrong. We can't even worry. I mean, like, I guess the Dead Bloom Wanderer is not that big of a deal anyways now, right? It's just going to heal him from 19 to 20, depending on how bad the blocks are. It's another heavy metal. Okay. Alright, well, I think we're stuck passing here. We could attack with the... I guess this is still a decent attack. With the Dark Enthrall. If it gets a trade, that's kind of okay. He does get one toss this way, but he's 4 away from deep. He's just essentially there anyways, so I don't think him leveling up his deep units at this point is that big of a deal. This is another painful one. We didn't get any board control this game. Do we want to go Aatrox, or do we want to, say, put a Darkened Harp onto a unit and then Cataclysm? I'm just trying to think of the angles to where this has to go right. And, I mean, at least, like, Aatrox can block these units. Just, I guess if he has a Vengeance, it's not terrible, right? He can't go deep this turn and he can't flip his units. So let's drop the Aatrox here. So he's going to hit with the Abyssal Eye, then that's going to grow everything else. Oh, we can block the Abyssal Eye, right? We got a Badger. Alright, so he's deep now. That's for certain. So what can we do with this board? I like the idea of going for like Darkened Harp Cataclysms, but we need to be up to... We need to be able to deal with a 6-attack unit to pull that off. I think we can take this a little slow. Like, let's start with our Aatrox and try and get a fish fight. Just wear this board down a little bit. Like, if he plays Nautilus here, it's kind of like we're just fucked anyways. But if we can take some of these units down and then get a couple of 6/6s around, we might be able to pull something off. Interesting. I wasn't expecting the old do nothing to come out of that. Why isn't he playing any cards here? That's strange. I don't think I'm completely opposed to just like playing a few cards and then passing the turn. There's the Nautilus. It's like if we take the 3 bank into next turn, we can play the World Ender. And so what if we say put the Darkened Blade onto this guy? You can put the equipment onto champions, but it just doesn't really do anything. Mega Tusk comes in. So we just stop here, right? He's only got one card in hand, and so if we can stop him from lethaling us, then we should be okay. I guess the problem to look at here is it looks like we have 4 units on the board, but we really only have 2. Kind of regretting, like now that I'm understanding we needed to play Cataclysm this turn, I'm kind of regretting not loading up Aatrox, but it is what it is. Right, if we'd put the Darkened Harp onto Aatrox, we could have sent him into a Mega Tusk. He would have been a 7-attack quick attacker. We would have gained 2 and then been a little bit safer on the next turn as well. And I mean, I think this is still okay. We might have to draw a unit here, though. Well, we could just play Harazi, I guess.
Death it is.
So we can move Aatrox down this way, still take 4. We have to block 2, so that looks fine. Alright, Striatu. Welcome to the board. Now, we'll play this World Ender. See if we get to keep the Aatrox around. Got the Aatrox equipment down here on the Darkened Thrall. He says no. No thank you, Bust. No thank you. But we do have some big friends on board. Unfortunately, we can't send this Striatu into the Nautilus, right? But we can technically make him block Zolani if he doesn't start putting blockers in front, right? We can attack with Zolani and then tumble Zolani. So that should be enough to stop 1 unit, but we are still short of stopping this Abyssal Eye. I feel like we messed this game up. Gonna be real with you. I feel like I want some redos in this one. So he's got a block. Gonna get rid of one of these. We can still pick up. We got 1 card, right? We could pick up a Condemn. Condemn could potentially get us out of this mess. Wow, he's blocking with Nautilus. This is surprising. If you have a second Nautilus in hand, you get access to Riptide. So you have a lot of options with it. All right, yeah, we're dead. Okay. Yeah, I think that game, our problem was I wanted to play. I got it in my head that we had 4 units on the board, and I wasn't really considering that they were the Darkened Thralls. And so it was like, well, if we can creep our way into the next turn and play the World Ender, then we will have the 4 units on board and they can block. But then, like, the next piece I didn't puzzle in was that he could just open attack and come on through. And so what we really needed to be doing there was putting the Darkened Harp onto our Aatrox and then cataclysming Aatrox into something so that we get to kill the unit and we get the bonus health. And then as you roll into the next turn, If you have to trade away your Aatrox, okay. He's at least big enough to kill some of the opposing units now, right? Having 7 attack instead of just 5. And so since we were kind of hamstrung with the 5 attack Vayne and the 5 attack Aatrox, when the opponent did make that attack, we couldn't even kill any of their units. And so that was definitely a problem there. And then in terms of recovery after that, I was kind of okay with things. I think you are at the point there to where you can't just, like, if your opponent has vengeance, they have vengeance. I don't think you're allowed to just, kind of like try and play around it at that point. We're either going to hit the Aatrox and pop off, or we're not. And if we don't have access to the Aatrox, I don't really envision us winning that game, just if he has any kind of, vengeance-y style removal spell. And so I think that's the kind of recovery method. I don't think that's spewy there. But yeah, we definitely messed up on that critical turn with the Cataclysm when we didn't quite think far enough ahead. But nonetheless, good set of games. I'm still happy with the lineup. I feel like in those matchups that the deep matchup is certainly winnable, and the darkness matchup isn't that bad. We steamrolled darkness once and then had kind of a bad go at it the next time, and so kind of is what it is. But nonetheless, good set of games. I had fun with that. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. And so I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way, and you had a good time watching. This is Bustin' Me. Thank you for being here.